Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 1 in a series between EG's Alive Raid Call versus Axiom's Crank here on Neoplanet S. Excuse me. Now the first thing I wanted to say, replays have been very difficult to come by. I know a lot of you guys out there have been wanting me to cast some of the finals and some of the more recent tournaments, except I don't have access to those replays, unfortunately, and everywhere that I've asked, no one has had the right to give them to me. So I am going back into my crystal ball, looking at some of the older games that are out there. Yes, this is an old game taken from the WCS, as we see Crank spawning as the red Protoss player on the bottom left-hand side of the map of Neoplanet S. Meanwhile, a live raid call, EG's a live raid call spawning over here on the top right-hand side of the map as the blue Terran player. And this will be your classic TVP matchup. Now, my apologies, I am a little bit rusty in terms of casting StarCraft 2. I just got back from essentially a 2-week-long vacation, and things are, well, a little jet-lagged in my brain. We are opening up with a refinery first here, so refinery first, and it is going to be followed up with a barracks. I am curious as to whether or not Raid Call or Alive will be going for a very, very fast Reaper, or if he will be perhaps just trying to train Marines and go into Hellions. Reapers are generally very strong for scouting, especially on a map like this, a lot of cliffs, and the Reaper is just good at just harassing probes. The problem will be that a Mothership core should be coming in momentarily after that Gateway and Cybernetics core is down. You can see that that barracks is a bit behind compared to your normal timings, as an SCV now on his way out, and it looks like that SCV is on his way to do some scouting as well. Alright, keeping track of that front door here, the barracks, is it going to be training up a Reaper, or are we going to be going for, yes, it is a Reaper, no quick factory to follow up anywhere there, and we are still collecting 3 gas from the Terran. Meanwhile, Crank, currently having 2 pylons down, is training up a Zealot here. We are getting up that Cybernetics core. Interesting building placement, not allowing a Reaper to pass north and south behind the mineral lines. Always very important how you place your buildings in order to minimize any sort of harassment. Interestingly, though, we can see that there is a factory being placed down here by Alive with this factory here, and I'm really curious as to what he plans to do. You can try to perhaps proxy a Thor and walk it over, but anything else just really falls apart to the Mothership core. That Mothership core has become such an integral part of the Protoss army and the Protoss defense that if you try and use siege tanks, if you try to use liftoff and use Hellions, all you're really going to see is a photon overcharge handling you. Alright, you can see the probe now coming in. It looks as though, oh, the probe does get taken down there as the Reaper is doing a little bit of a song and dance with that Zealot. Alright, that Zealot is taking a bit of damage there. You can see that the Mothership core is making its way over. And now what are we going to be having? We are going to be going into Widow Mines. Alright, the Widow Mine, the one unit that can actually shoot down and deal a lot of damage to what we currently see here. You can see that the Reaper is now trying to dance around, and it is going to be able to perhaps just run away, and this is going to be key here. If Alive can perhaps keep this one Mothership core just constantly chasing the Reaper, I believe the mine is going to be able to burrow itself. Oh, the Reaper is now coming back around. It looks as though a Stalker is going to try to join in on the fight, and there is the Widow Mine. A beautiful, beautiful positioning here as the Widow Mine does burrow itself and now takes down 6 workers. That was a beautiful bait and switch coming in from Alive, completely catching Crank off guard there, and now that is definitely bad news. Alive now realizing that this Widow Mine not going to be able to do all too much. It is right next to that assimilator though, and if this Widow Mine may be able to get off another shot or two. Meanwhile, another Widow Mine hit there, taking down a Stalker. That Widow Mine 4 shots away from a near certain death. A half a hit would have done it from a Zealot, and I can say half a hit because the Zealot does do 2 swipes, pretty much not in succession though. Alright, we can see the probes are still mining down here. You can see 1 Widow Mine, and this Widow Mine containment causing problems as a new Widow Mine now making its way over. Alright, is it going to be able to make its way in? It looks as though there's the force field. It is going to try to burrow. It is not going to be able to do it. do that in time at all. Meanwhile, down over here, we are already at 8 kills and counting. Oh, the Stalker is in position. This could be bad news for the Stalker. The Stalker does back away right then, and there is another kill there. 2 kills, in fact, as the kills are up to 10. All right, Marines now trying to make their way over. You can see the probes are in position. There is a photon overcharge, and that Widow Mine does have to get the heck out of there. And there you have it. Oh, trying to save one poor Widow Mine. Yes, the 4 hit point Widow Mine. It looks as though the Widow Mines will be burrowing themselves, and this is just some amazing play by Alive, being able to contain his opponent. Now, with all that said and done, it is surprising that Alive doing so much damage is still just neck and neck. Let's take a look at the army sizes. His army is rather small. It is higher in terms of minerals, but in terms of gas, it is lower. Also, if you take a look at the harvesters, the only thing that's really giving Alive any room to stand on is those mules. Once those mules are gone, things are looking a bit more even. Crank has had this additional nexus up much longer than the orbital command down over here. And because of that, he had a much higher probe saturation and the ability to train more workers. So even though it feels like Alive is ahead a lot on the field, the numbers do show that it is about even, but perhaps Crank is a little bit on tilt. StarCraft is a very mental game. If you believe your opponent is ahead, then most likely he is ahead, just because you're not going to be playing up to your standard snuff. There you go, Crank, realizing that he can't retreat. Photon overcharge, taking down a Stalker, taking down a Zealot. All of those Marines trying to fire back here. It's just target practice against a very durable target there, as the one observer, oh, is it gonna take down the observer? Yes, it does. So a beautiful eye by Alive, realizing that there was a slight flicker of an observer in the air, and scanner sweeping to take down the observer. A really important play, as we're now about a 500 resource difference between both sides here. Workers are about even. Alive now ready to start cranking out a whole bunch of units. You can see that Alive is getting up the level 1 armor upgrades, level 1 weapons upgrades already done. Level 1 weapons upgrades coming in from the Protoss, as we are now looking to get into Colossus. Both sides transitioning, Crank transitioning into perhaps a little bit of a longer game. Meanwhile, Alive wants to try and end this quickly. The one mothership core, though, doesn't have that much energy, so it is not going to be able to buy another photon overcharge that fast. Meanwhile, Widow Mine's now coming in for a drop, and there you go. There is one Widow Mine. A second Widow Mine maybe coming into play. Oh, it is going to get that free kill there on a Zealot, and now this Widow Mine back over here may take out a probe. No, it looks like the probes are just able to pull back, and let's see. Oh, the Widow Mine unable to get picked up. No, it is picked up, in fact, and now able to fly back here. Meanwhile, the front door does have Marines and Marauders ready to go. You can see a second medevac now looking to push on in. We are about to get to 100 energy. No, the timing is just not right here, as the Marines and the Marauders are going to engage. You can see there is a force field. Stim now pushing through here, and Guardian Shield now joining in on the fight as well. So far, that Mothership Core waiting for that extra 2 to 3 energy is not going to come into play, though. As you can see that the Marines and the Marauders are now making their way in. There is that Photon Overcharge, but the Marauders are simply going to ignore that and now walk their way inside the main base, take down a key pylon there. And with that pylon goes the Colossus. It only needed another 12 seconds. And that was some critical timing. It looks as though this is all going to fall apart for Crank here in just a moment. There is the GG. Alive taking game 1 in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1. Please stay tuned for game 2.